What's up guys, Unseen Protagonist here to showcase you my Salamangreat deck profile. And this is the deck I actually got first with on that locals I played against my friend Alex's Relinquished deck. And I gotta say, man, I am enjoying this deck a lot. It's kind of a shame though, like it's on tier 2 right now, though it kind of seems like it's already a flat line on the tier list, but so we're gonna keep this alive as long as we can. And so without further ado, let's get to it. So first, I have 3 Ash. Obviously, you play 3 Ashes. Please use my different rarities. I'm just one of those people that enjoy playing different rarities just to mess with people. So I got 3 Ashes. Like, I know a lot of people have been considering cutting it simply because how the format is right now. I just think it though as a good rogue matchup, and also it's retrievable via Sunlight Wolf's effect. So the next, I got 3 copies of Lady Debug right here. I'm so happy this card's back at 3. It's an instant searcher for like the level 3 lower Cyber type monster. Get whatever one you want. Spinny, Foxy, Gazelle, typically Gazelle. And it's a good way to get into Access Code Talker. Next, I play 3 Parallel Exceeds. I only managed to get one of the OTS 14 ones. Everyone else seemed to get them, and our shop unfortunately ran out of OTS 14. So I play 3 Parallel Exceeds, good with the rank 4 tool package. I barely go into the rank 4 unless a lot of things are graveyard reliant. I don't think Dragon Links are, as far as I know. I'm still somewhat kind of out of the loop right now. And then next, I got 3 Salamangreat Foxy. Graveyard and back row removal, and potentially field spell. You can destroy, even a mirror match, you can destroy the opponent's sanctuary or something related to that effect. And then finally, for my 3 ofs, I got 3 Salamangreat Spinny, Instant Revival. With Mirage Stally, it's kind of a shame Mirage Stally was in. I did kind of like the 3-to-2 sign-up mining ratio to put extra things in there. Well, unfortunately though, it's banned, so we decided to put Spinny at 3. Simply because it's extra revival, and honestly, like, with it being banished, like, it's not really that bad though, seeing that this deck is now potential for OTKing. So that's actually it for the 3 ofs. Let's move on to the 2 ofs. I actually only played 2 ofs. I got 2 Ghost Ogres. This hand trap seems to be really good against the meta right now. I do have a few dinosaur players, and our rival shop in Cheyenne, with our rival local shop, we actually what was it? We have an Infernoble player over there, and we actually I haven't played against it yet, but I have noticed that Ghost Ogre can somewhat work against it. Dragon Links can definitely punch it. And then for the last of my 2 ofs, I got 2 Jack Jaggers. I play 2 Jack Jaggers because I play 2 Pop Desires for the extra draw 2, and also since it's a really good recursion card, it kind of helps me keep my links intact. And then I only have 2 ones. The first one is Falco, sets Salamangreat spell or trap cards and returns Salamangreat monsters I don't need, put it back to hand for a little defensive play. And finally, if you haven't already figured it out, it's Salamangreat Gazelle. And it feels so good when I hard open it. I somehow manage to see this guy all the time on my opening hand. Somehow, some way. It's very unlikely that I don't see it. But that's it for the monsters. Let us move on to the spells. So for the spells, starting with the 3 ofs, I also play only 2 3 ofs. I got triple copy of Silent Mining. Sends a card to search a level 4 lower Cyber's monster, helps with the Gazelle triggering and such. And last for my 3 ofs is 3 Will of Salamangreats. Originally, us Salamangreat players decided to play 3, so that way we can dodge in the bureau. And now it's at 3 simply because we need that extra graveyard recursion. Will help us assure that. It is also in precaution for Nibiru and such, for those players who always try to drop Nibiru. Of course, since like now a lot of us are kind of like, okay, you know, now Nibiru's in the format, that's a thing. Salamangreats are actually one of the prime targets for it, or it seems like Salamangreats are the natural prey of Nibiru. So now we're gonna go ahead. So now we play 3 Will to make sure that does not happen. Next, at 2 Pod Desires, I was always a duelist who liked to blind draw. That part's always fun to me. And also it deck thins, so I did always like the deck thin deal, and I seem to have decent luck with Pod Desires. And usually if you end up banishing Gazelle, it's not really that bad, to be honest. You still got a lot of other graveyard recursion cards. You got Spinny, you got Foxy, you got Jack Jagger, heck, you even got Falco. And finally, for my one-ofs, I got the 1 Circle. always activates during drop phase, right? For the Droll and Lockbird effect. And also I actually did use the second effect once to dodge a monster effect that I went up against. I actually went up on the same locals. I went against an Infernity deck. So I think he tried using Void Ogre Dragon, and then Void Ogre Dragon, where you have no cards in your hand, you can negate the activation of an effect and destroy it. So Circle kind of made it unaffected. So like so that way I can kind of keep the effects going. And then finally, and also in case you haven't figured out, my final one of is Salamangreat Sanctuary. It helps me conserve my link monster to relinking. This card, like, yeah, it is good. Sometimes I notice I seem to be doing okay without it simply because I usually just go into Access Code Docker a lot faster than expected. So that's it for the spells. Allow me to move on to the traps. So the traps, it's actually a work in progress right now, I do want to say. So I added a special spice to it. I'll explain why I thought about it. I never tried it out, but on next locals, when our shop unsuspends open tables due to COVID, we actually are in the orange and red right now, by the way. So unfortunately, no locals for a while, but I might go online, test it, and see and share with you guys and see how it turned out. But anyway, without further ado, let's move on to the traps. For starters, we got 3 Infinite Impermanents. Easily one of my favorite hand traps of all time, simply because you won't get called by the grave, but that really matters at this point because it's at 1. And also, it's also good for either going first or second at the start of your turn. Because Infinite Impermanents, I mean, it's just an extra negate on a going first board. Because, you know, a lot of decks like to go first these days, and sometimes you want to cripple the board as fast as you can, as much as you can. And Imperm can't do that because a lot of it are monster effect negations. So then with Infinite Impermanents, you're all set to go. And also, like I said, it's also one of my favorite traps. So, and then that's it for the 3 of traps. We'll move on to the 2 ofs. We'll go ahead. We'll start with the 2 Salamangreat Roars. I noticed that a lot of people do a 2-to-1 Rage to Roar ratio. The reason why I picked 2 is simply because how, for a little piece of history, when I played Salamangreat, Mirage Stallion was around, obviously. A lot of us decided to put in 2 Mirage Stallios so that way we can have that extra longevity, so that way we don't have to rely on putting Mirage Stalio back instead of Sunlight Wolf for Jack Jagger's effect. It's the same deal with Salamangreat Roar. I always like to set an extra one, or let's just say I got a Circle and a Roar in my graveyard and I can only fix one of them. I can use Roar's effect to set itself, and Sunlight Wolf's effect to retrieve Circle out of my hand. I got 2 extra cards just like that. And unfortunately, Roar is banished if I use the effect to set itself. So that's why. I want to do for the extra longevity. Then for the last of my 2-0s, I got 2 Salamangreat Rages. I always seem to pitch this one simply because I can do multiple destruction effects. So that way I can just simply clear the board and such. You guys see me on my previous match with the Relinquisher Salamangreat when Alex attacked me with a Salamangreat Violet Chimera. I activated Rage. I had a relink Sunlight Wolf, so I just popped his set and Violet Chimera. Thus gave me the edge. And then that's it for the 2-0s. I actually have 2 1s right now, and you guys are probably gonna wonder what I'm doing with this card. Goes in match. So my typical go-to play with goes in match, it is going first. The reason why I actually used to play 3. I actually took out 1 goes in for a Roar, and the second goes in for the Spice I have right here in my hand. I want to do goes in match so I have to drop on the opponent first off. And I noticed that, yes, that's true. There are multi-attributes right now. Dragon Link is dark and light. So that way I can see if I can do to deal with it. And also, like I said, have a floodgate, control the flood going my way. So, and that's why, and I just cut those. I noticed it was kind of biting me in the butt long run. Yes, I have ways of getting rid of it. Foxy destroys any spell or trap card, so I can use Foxy effect to destroy it. Though, of course, when some people like to kaiju me, that's not fire, so they give me a Gamma Seal, and then I'm stuck with it. My own trap just bit me. So, that's why I cut it down to 1s for the extra negates, and for my Spice, which you're about to see right now. And that is Salamangreat Gift. So, those of you who don't know, this is kind of one of those underrated trap cards known to man. You can discard 1 Salamangreat monster, and send 1 Salamangreat monster from your deck to the graveyard, then draw a card. Like I said, I was a duelist who always enjoyed the blind draws. That's just me. That's just my personal preference. And the real reason why I did that is so I can use Gift's second effect. If I control a Reincarnation Link summon Salamangreat Link monster, I can send a Salamangreat monster from my... I can discard Salamangreat monster to draw 2. And it's the same deal with Roar. I can only use 1 effect per turn and once that turn. So I usually do it just for like extra so I can do better graveyard recursion and see some hand traps. Hilariously enough, I don't really see a lot of my hand traps though. So I haven't tried out Gift yet. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it at our next locals or online and see how that goes. If it doesn't work out, I'm just gonna swap it out for a second goes in because I do appreciate getting the drop in the opponent game 1. To me, that is very important. So that's it for the traps and main deck. So we'll go ahead and move on to the extra deck. So first for the Xyz monsters, I got Abyss Dweller. I barely go into this. I'm honestly considering cutting it or potentially keeping it. The reason why I want to cut those, like I said, I barely get to use it. I'd rather use something that I can see better. Of course, the Graveyard Shutdown is very nice. I just, unfortunately, our locals here, I barely get to use it. Though, I did get invited to go to a tournament over in Colorado Springs, so maybe that will prove to be a bit helpful. So that's it for the Xyz. And then we'll go ahead and move on to the links. Obviously, my main man, honestly, Access Code Talker. The opponent can't respond to the effects. And like I said on the match with my Relinquish versus Salamangreat, yes, I do agree. This card is busted. Even so, it helps it keep up with the meta because they can't respond to it. It kind of gives you the opportunity to play. So then next, I got one Hita, the Fire Charmer Ablaze. I barely use this one as well. I've been considering swapping out for a Splash Mage, because Splash Mage can help me give that extra attribute to banish for access code, and the opponent tries to negate through. I can go into Splash Mage and just resume, which is pretty convenient if you ask me. And also, like Hita, like as at best, I would probably use it against Infernoble to revive something out of their graveyard for extra Fire Link material. Well, that's about it, really. And then next, another one of is Linguribo. Negates the trap activation, destroys it. Really good against Eldritch, though. I have a really awesome Eldritch player. He's super good with the deck. He plays a Zombie World variant, which, honestly, that makes it the worst matchup against me for that deck. Like, it kind of... When it's him and I against each other, he always magnetizes the problem to Zombie World, therefore, like, as bait for other negates he's trying to drop on me. So Linguribo helps me with the traps and such. Of course, I gotta get rid of... Like I said, gotta get rid of Zombie World in order to play, because it requires a level 4 or lower Cyber-type monster. And then, next is a 3 of. 3 Salamangreat Balinxes. It's like Return of the Dragon Lords, except it's a hard once per turn. Of course, you only truly need to use it once per turn, because like I said, you got Graveyard, Recursion, and just control that way, and also, it surges the field spell. Next, I got 2 Salamangreat Helios. One of my favorite Fire Link monsters, just simply because of what it does. Also, I'm a huge anime fan of the brains, and just watching it in action made me truly excited when it inspired me to play Salamangreats. And also, like, the whole attack shift can actually be game changing on both fields, because I learned you can target a monster on your field and, like, maybe target the original Heat Leo that was used to relink the new Heat Leo and go for a more aggro play, or you can reduce the opponent's attack to 0 if you pitched an Ash, and just for better control that way. Next, obviously, you will want to play 3 Salamangreat Sunlight Wolves. It recurs your Salamangreat spell or trap cards and fire effect monsters. Like I said, position matters. And hilariously, in my local, sometimes a lot of people try to play in front of the arrow. I'm like, oh, thank you, I'll get an Ash Blossom now. But that vaguely happens. But still, though, it is kind of it does help me quite a bit with the fire recursion, and it just helps me with recursion. Then for my last 3 cards in my deck, I got 1 Top Logic Zero Boros. This was kind of my secret weapon, in a way, because he gains 2 attack for each of the banished cards. And also, that's why I play Pod Desires too. Like, I do agree Pod Desires itself is a good card. Zero Boros just proves it that much more by going for extra OTK. Because actually, there was one match where I forcefully banished 20 cards of my deck just so I can get him up to 7,000 attack, and then I purposely and also with this Zero Boros, spinning it doesn't really matter if spinning gets banished if you go into him. You can just smack him over. Like, let's say all 3 of your spinnings are banished. I put you at 23 banished cards plus another 46 be at 7,600. You can do that, or you have like simply another monster to go out and go for the kill. And then I got 1 Transcode Talker. revives extra links from the graveyard, helps push for game, and also does the lock and Cyber's recursion. And then finally, the cards that enable our links to attack twice is Update Jammer. So you always want to let transcode attack twice if you use Update Jammer to link it off into transcode, just so your opponent tries to stop you from reviving, you at least got another powerhouse to work with. So that's it for the extra deck, and I do have a side deck all set. Unfortunately, I do believe it is inaccurate simply because I have it up against for like when Eldritch Adamantspare were tier 1, so I will have to modify it. I am liking the build though, it does help. So tell me what you guys think in the comments though. I would love to hear some thoughts because, you know, sometimes with this COVID flying around, really hard to keep up with the meta. So then first, for the monsters in the side deck, I got 3 Artifact Lancia, prevents banishing. I seem to use it against dinosaurs, potentially Orcus, since Orcus is a rogue deck still. Like, our locals is typically rogue players, so this is kind of like catered to the rogue deck, and Lancia just helps outright with the tributing and such. Then I got the 1 Scythe. I always think Scythe is a very powerful card in the meta because it shuts off the extra deck. In fact, 2 of our 3 meta decks right now rely on the extra deck. You got Dragon Link and Infernoble. Dinosaurs doesn't really need it though, so of course, like, why would you play Scythe against dinosaurs, right? And then next for the monsters, I got 2 DD Crows. Just simply yanks a monster out, card out of the graveyard to stop the graveyard recursion. Helps against the mirror, helps against any graveyard reliant decks. Finally for the monsters, I got 3 Nibiru, the Primal Being. I haven't really truly used it against anyone. It's like whenever I use it though, they always try to go for the aggro play and get 4 summons and try to push for game. That's pretty much it for the, like, I think it works well against Dragon Link. Like I said, tell me what you guys think. I'm still kind of in the side decking drawing board right now. So that's it for the monster side deck. We'll move on to the spells. I got triple Twin Twisters. At this point, it's for rogue backrow removal, and just so I can help trigger Gazelle or like I said, more graveyard setup. And of course, like a lot of the decks right now, they don't really play any back row meta. So obviously Twin Twisters needs to be in the side. And finally, for the last 3 cards in the side would be 3 Artifact Sanctums, helps bust out the monster, and also it can be a bluff though, because I honestly like to set 2 of them and think it's a back row, and then Sanctum, it blows up a card. So that is helpful. Of course, that barely resolves, but of course it feels so good when you do that. So that's it for my Salamangreat deck profile, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I would love to hear your constructive criticism and thoughts. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that bell for any more content. I finally figured out how to get a proper video schedule going. So, I'll see Unseen Protagonists out. See you next time.